In every perfect neighborhood, there's something they don't want you to see. Behind trimmed hedges and smiling faces, darkness hides in plain sight. Welcome to Horrificial, where horror lives next door. The rule arrived on a crisp morning, slipped beneath every door like a sermon. Rule there 47. All window coverings are prohibited. Transparency builds trust. That was all it said. No explanation, no grace period. Just a new decree from the Maple Hollow HOA, printed in clean serif font and signed, as always, by President Caroline Dorsey. When Evan and Laura Trent read it, they laughed at first. The couple had moved into Maple Hollow 2 years ago, drawn by the quiet streets, the manicured lawns, the promise of a safe, family-oriented community. But the laughter didn't last. By the afternoon, the neighborhood was transformed. One by one, curtains disappeared from windows. Some residents stood outside, dutifully folding their drapes into neat piles. Others ripped them down hurriedly, as if terrified of being seen disobeying. Laura stood in their living room, sunlight slicing through the glass, landing on their faces like interrogation beams. "This is insane," she muttered. "We have a right to privacy." "Yeah," Evan said, peering through the bare window. "But does anyone else look like they care?" Across the street, Mrs. Kellner, their elderly neighbor, waved politely while removing her blinds. Her eyes were bloodshot, her smile too wide. When night fell, the neighborhood looked naked, every house glowing like a fish tank. People moved in slow silhouettes behind the glass. Dinner tables, laughter, television screens, all visible to anyone who wanted to look. But that night, as Evan tried to sleep, a faint hum drifted in through the open space where his curtains once hung. It wasn't coming from outside, it was inside the walls. Days passed and the HOA sent reminders. Non-compliance will be addressed. Some neighbors vanished quietly. Their houses were soon under renovation, lights off, windows blackened from the inside. The HOA said those families had moved for personal reasons. Laura began to notice things. Every night just after 11, the streetlights flickered 3 times. Then the glow from other homes dimmed, except for one house at a time. It was as if each household was being watched in turn. One evening, she caught movement across the street. Mrs. Kellner was standing motionless in her living room, staring directly at their house. Her face pressed to the glass, eyes wide open, unblinking. "Evan?" Laura whispered. "She's been there for an hour." Evan looked, then closed the blinds, only to remember there were none. That night, they slept in the hallway, away from the windows. But still, the light leaked in, like it was searching for them. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. 2 people in gray suits stood outside, no badges, no smiles. "We're from the HOA compliance team," the woman said softly. "Just making sure your home remains open and honest." She stepped closer, peering inside like a guest invited to inspect a secret. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "You have nothing to hide." "Do you?" Evan forced a chuckle. "No, just wish we could have our privacy back." The woman tilted her head. "Privacy breeds deceit. Transparency reveals truth. We must all be seen to be trusted." When she left, she slipped a new flyer into Evan's hand. Upcoming event, Neighborhood Transparency Review, mandatory attendance. The date was circled in red. The HOA gathered that Friday night on the community lawn. Rows of chairs faced a giant projection screen showing live feeds of everyone's homes, each camera view labeled with an address. The audience watched in silence as scenes played. People eating dinner, children brushing their teeth, an old man crying quietly in his kitchen. "We observe," said President Caroline from the stage. "We learn who still hides." Laura gripped Evan's arm. "That's our house," she whispered. "That's our kitchen." They were on the screen, eating dinner the previous night, unaware they were being filmed. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Then the feed froze. Caroline's smile didn't waver. "Transparency keeps us pure. Those who resist must be corrected." At the edge of the lawn, 2 compliance officers dragged a man forward, Mr. Hayes from the corner house. He screamed, pleading as they held him under the projector light. "He covered his window," Caroline said calmly. "He blocked the view." "Please," Hayes begged. "I just wanted to sleep." Caroline pressed a button on her remote. The screen blinked. The feed from Hayes' home turned white hot, his house igniting from within. The crowd gasped. But no one moved. The next day, every television in Maple Hollow turned on by itself. A live feed played, a panoramic shot of the neighborhood. A voice calm and mechanical whispered, "We are all visible. We are all safe." "The HOA is watching," Laura broke down. "Evan, we have to leave." They packed in silence, every window watching them. But when they stepped outside, the air was wrong. It shimmered like glass. Every house reflected back at them, endlessly repeating. The street stretched in impossible directions. They ran toward the exit road, only to find President Caroline standing there, hands clasped, smiling. "Where will you go?" she asked softly. "There's nowhere that isn't seen." Behind her, the neighborhood glowed like an open eye. They fled into the woods, carrying nothing but fear. The next morning, they woke in their own bed, everything as it was. Curtains gone. Morning light pouring in, Laura screamed. Evan turned to the window. Across the street, in every house, every neighbor was standing at their window, watching the Trents in silence. And behind each pair of staring eyes, something else looked back. It shimmered faintly like a reflection with no source. Laura whispered, trembling, "Evan." Maybe the curtains weren't keeping them out. He didn't answer, because in the reflection of the glass there were two of him, one standing beside Laura, and one smiling from the other side. The HOA said transparency builds trust. But all it built were eyes that never blink. Maybe the curtains weren't to hide us. Maybe they were to keep them out. Keep your windows closed tonight. Even if they tell you not to, subscribe before the next rule takes effect.